One of America's premier authors, certainly most successful and thought-provoking, is in studio now. A fantastic radio host, who has also unbelievable sports knowledge, who I think one of it was every Sunday, watch Sports Reporters with Mitch Albom. He's author of 8 #1 New York Times bestsellers. His first big one was Tuesdays with Morrie, made it a movie, the best-selling memoir of all time. And Mitch's latest book is called Twice, which is another deep-thinking book, which is certainly to be very successful, who's a great host on everything. So, Mitch, there's nothing you really can't handle. Also, in your spare time, you're also running an orphanage in Haiti.
Yeah, I'm trying to squeeze a few things into my life.
Couldn't be a more challenging environment than Haiti.
Yeah,
right?
Haiti's a nightmare right now, and even just to get in, we have to fly to a city that's 150 miles from our orphanage, and then take a helicopter to get down. So the gangs are in terrible control there.
Didn't a congressman help get you out?
Yeah, we had to be airlifted out, and several people from Congress, thank goodness, got us out in the middle of the night. They were shooting at helicopters and everything, and we got airlifted out, and everyone said I'd be crazy to go back, but I was back about a month later.
Because these kids aren't numbers; they're people to you. These are people they're like your family.
Yeah, we have 60+ kids that we take care of, and we have 18 of them in college here now on scholarships, 2 in medical school. But these kids have nothing; they come to us with nothing, and we have to help them. I mean, I wish America was a little bit more involved, honestly.
Right. I hope we get to that soon, because I'm actually doing some studying about the Louisiana Purchase. And we're talking about Haiti.
Is that your next book?
Yeah. Well, kind of. And one of the areas I'm focusing on is Louisiana Purchase. And you didn't realize, if the French didn't get so caught up in what we now know as Haiti, I think it was Santo Domingo, and they didn't get so annihilated by people rising up and wanting their freedom, the French might have said, I'm not giving up Louisiana. You're not going to have any deal to get New Orleans. But because they got so hung up and butchered in that conflict, all of a sudden, I realized, America would look different. How about that?
Yeah. So Haiti contributed. All right.
Absolutely. So you're also up for a Marconi, I understand?
Yeah. Okay. I have nothing to do with that, and that's crazy. I don't think I deserve that, but we'll see.
Well, you do. Obviously, you got nominated. So tell me the premise of Twice.
So Twice is, I wanted to write a book about people who always keep thinking the grass is always greener on the other side. So I created a story about a guy who discovers when he's a kid that he has the magical ability to do everything in his life a second time if he wants to. But he has to live with the consequences of his second try. He can't go back to the first one. Whatever happens the second time, that's it. And he goes through his adolescence fixing his mistakes and his embarrassments with girls and all that kind of stuff. And then when he gets older, he finds out that there's one caveat to the power, and that is it doesn't work with love. So if somebody loves you and you decide you want to go try somebody else, go back in time and see if that other girl or whatever, then that first person can never love you again. That's it. They'll be in the world. You can talk to them, but that's it. And of course, he finds the perfect person, he thinks, and then he gets tempted, and he has to make a very fateful decision with his power. So it's all about whether we think the alternative life that we imagine is better than the one we have.
What prompted this? Was it a conversation? Was it something you thought about?
Probably just getting older, and the older you get, and I'm sure you see this too, Brian, the more the people your peers start saying, I should have gone a different career. I should have married that girl from whatever, but they don't do it because it's too late in life to go change it. When you're young, if you're in your 20s and you say, I don't like this career, I'm going to go try that one. I don't want this partner, I'm going to try that one. But you reach a certain ages where the concrete starts to settle, and you feel like, well, you just can't change anything. And then people start developing these regrets. But my thought process is, well, yeah, you could have taken that career, but that would have brought with it a whole other set of problems. Yeah, you could have married that other person, but you don't know what that would have led to, what comes after. So that whole idea about second chances is kind of floats around me, and I hear it all the time. And I tend to try to write books ever since Tuesdays with Morrie that are what people are thinking about, issues that they ask themselves questions. I don't tend to write my books like, I have this great idea for a plot or a character. I think about the themes that people are talking about, and I try to create stories around those.
Because it really sells the story and the belief that people can see themselves in that story.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, I feel like you almost see it as a movie before it's a book, because all your books feel like they're movies. Yeah. Does it first you picture the dialogue and then you knock it down to a book?
No. First you think of the theme, then you think of. I always think of the ending because I want to know where I'm sailing to, and then you kind of create the story. But it's funny you say about a movie because for the first time, one of my books, this book was purchased for a movie before I finished the book. I mean, I don't even know how they got a hold of the early manuscript, but Netflix bought it and got assigned a director and a writer.
You're kidding.
It's already,
Wow.
the script is almost done. I said to the screenwriter, you're putting out a script before the book is out. So it was, I guess it's an appealing kind of story.
Wow. Are you thrilled by that?
Yeah. I really like the director and writer. His name Paul Weitz. He's the guy who did About a Boy and some of the other really great films. So, yeah, I was thrilled by it. But, I mean, usually they wait to see if a book is successful, and then they say, well, let's jump on the bandwagon. This one they did before it even came out.
So the Mitch Albom that was doing sports, do you feel like you're the same guy? The one who was worried if the Tigers were going to win and what the Yankees were going to, how much they're going to spend on their free agency? Does that seem like the same
Well,
guy?
I never worried about how much the Yankees were going to spend on their free agency.
But it would be a topic on a Sunday in the morning. Remember the first $1 million contract people were worried about? And
well, that's kind of, Brian, why this book was kind of natural to me. I've sort of had a twice life, For the first 37 years, that's all I did was sports. And you and I know, we go way back. Yeah. And I was 100 miles an hour, sports reporters. I lived up in Bristol for ESPN for 3 days a week and writing 5 columns a week. And then Tuesdays with Morrie happened. And, I wrote a book to pay my old professor's medical expenses. He was dying from Lou Gehrig's disease. We met every Tuesday. It was supposed to be a tiny book. Most publishers told me to get lost. They weren't even interested in it. They printed 20,000 copies for the world. And I thought that would be it. And they'd be in the trunk of my car the rest of my life. And then all of a sudden it took off, and next thing I know, instead of people asking me who's going to win the Super Bowl, they're coming up and saying, my mother died of cancer, and the last thing we did was read Tuesdays with Morrie. Can I talk to her about her? And you have that happen thousands of times, and you become a different person, and your interests become different, and you realize the kind of the grief and the suffering that's going on in the world and what people are into. So while sports kind of always remained a part of my life after that, and I still to this day write a sports column, not frequently, but my interests became much different, and I ended up getting involved in charity and then orphanage in Haiti and a lot of stuff in Detroit. So, no, I'm not the same person, but I don't think we should be the same person. And that's kind of the point of twice. Everybody thinks it would be great to have a magic power to go back and undo something, but you already have that power. It's called the next minute of your life. And everything that you learned up to this point enables you to make a different decision in the minute that comes next.
Do you have a personal mission of self-improvement, a conscience? I want to be better?
Totally. I want to be a better person. When I was younger, I wanted to be bigger. That's, I think, the difference between young and mature.
Right.
There's a big difference between old and mature. You can be old and still be young.
Yeah.
But I think when you're young, you just want to be big, and I want my name everywhere. And when you mature, you say, I want to be better.
Right, and that's where you're at now.
That's where I'm at.
And do you think in writing this book, do you learn things about like morals and character and things to that nature?
100%.
Because while you're writing, you're literally creating.
Yeah, 100%. Because the reason I made Love, for example, the caveat, is because I was kind of writing the book to my wife after 37 years that we've been together. I wanted her to know that I understood that love is not a basketball shot that you miss, that you want to go back and just make it and then fix everything. And love is like the first day, the 100th day, the 10,000th day, and everything that happens along the way is what you get. So, yeah, it's true. You could say, well, gee, if I could have married that girl in high school, it'd be like so. But you're only imagining the first day, right? You're imagining the first date or the first time you sleep with them or the first whatever. You're not imagining 15 years down the pike or 30 years down the pike. But that is what a love relationship is, all the bumps along the road. So I think I even became, hopefully, a better appreciative husband by writing the book.
You also wrote in your last book about you adopted a child.
Yeah.
And then that child passes away, and then you put that story to paper.
Yeah, that was Finding Chica. It was a few books ago. She was one of our kids from Haiti. She had a brain tumor, and we adopted her. They told us she would be dead in 4 months, but we said, well, she's a fighter. You don't know this kid. She survived the earthquake when she was 3 days old. So we traveled around the world with her, and she lived 2 years. And honestly, what's interesting, Brian, is she died, and we thought, well, that was our chance of being parents, and at least we got the opportunity. And then 3 years ago, a little girl was brought to us who weighed 6 pounds, and she was 6 months old. And hadn't had anything to eat in her life but sugar water. She fit in the palm of my hand. Her eyes couldn't open. She couldn't make any sound. And we raced her home, and we put her on this nutrition program to try to feed her around the clock. And we prayed every week. We brought her to the doctor. We put her on the scale. Please gain an ounce, just an ounce, just an ounce. And that little girl is now our little girl.
No way.
Yeah. We
How
have
old?
a 3.5-year-old.
Wow.
Yeah. And she's a pistol. Her name is Nadi, and she's the joy of our lives. So we got a second chance, just like this book twice.
From Haiti?
From Haiti, yeah.
And was she in your orphanage?
Yeah, she was brought to our orphanage, yeah.
Wow. And do we know anything about her background? Or?
Not a lot. No, we don't know a whole lot about a lot of our kids' backgrounds.
Wow, that's incredible. So the people that come to you in Haiti, so you'll just say there's a need there, and will they have to stay there too in the orphanage? Like they don't come just for school.
If we say, no, they live there. If we say we're taking new kids, there's a line down the block of I have to say no to 10 kids for every one that we can say yes to. Mm-hmm. And yes, they live with us. We take care of them. We get medical treatment. They go to school there, 4 hours in English, 4 hours in French. We have, they're fully fed, 3 meals a day. Everybody gets their own bed. These things in Haiti are not common for children. So it's a big deal, actually, if they can get into our place. But we obviously can't take everybody.
And I can imagine how much more money you'd have for the kids if you didn't have to pay for security.
Yeah, 24 security guards I have now ringing our place because of the gangs in Haiti. I mean, it's crazy. Why should an orphanage have to have 24 security guards?
Have you talked to the State Department about this at all?
I've talked to everybody.
And what do they say?
There's not much interest in Haiti. They don't have much to offer us in return.
Because you got to put a government in. I mean, there is no government, right?
Yeah. What I hear a lot is a lot of complaints about what happened after the earthquake and the Clintons and the money that went down. And I hear that a lot. Like, well, we gave money to Haiti before and it disappeared. And so, it's just a big black hole and so we don't want to fund it. But hey, you're a student of history. We occupied and ran Haiti for 15 years in the early 1900s. We wrote their constitution. Their money was in our bank. We have a history with this country, and they're right off our shores. I mean, if they had oil, if the Chinese or Russians were suddenly interested in it, we'd be down there in a heartbeat. But because that's not happening, we're just allowing people to tens of thousands of people are murdered down there by gangs, and nobody's doing anything about it. You can't go out in the street. Our kids haven't left our orphanage in 4 years, haven't gone outside because it's not safe to go outside.
The other thing is there's this thing called the United Nations a few blocks from here. I mean, if you talk about a humanitarian effort, that would be it. And I think they have money for security.
And all they do is just keep meeting and making suggestions and all that. The problem actually began when the United Nations left in 2017. They had been there after the earthquake. And they ostensibly were there to help rebuild the country. But when you see UN trucks going around and they have guns and whatever, the gangs don't act up. As soon as they left, there was a void. The gangs started rising, and now they run Port-au-Prince. And in many ways, they basically overthrow the country.
And they overthrew, didn't the...
They killed somebody killed the president. Did
the first lady kill the president?
Well, I have no idea. Nobody's figured it out yet who killed him. But once he was gone, the power vacuum created this opportunity for these gangs, and they own 90% of Port-au-Prince. Can you imagine if 90% of New York, where we are right now, was under gang control? Our orphanage is in the 10%, thank God, that isn't under gang control yet, but we have bullets landing in our yard all the time.
So the UN would have to come in guns a-blazing. They'd have to come in looking to...
I don't know about guns a-blazing. Most of these gang members, more than half of them are under 17 years old. They're mostly just kids with guns, but because nobody else has guns in Haiti, the people who have the guns are running things. I think if you just sent down a peacekeeping force and went in there and they started trying to take back these neighborhoods that have been taken over by these gangs, they would quell it, and a lot of these gangs would run, they'd disappear. I don't think it requires an army, but it does require some kind of effort, and right now nobody's making that.
How much of your time is taken up with this?
I go every month.
Every month?
Yeah, for about a week.
And that's incredible. And you're able to balance things out and still write a sports column?
Well, I don't write very many sports columns, but once in a while, when I'm home in the other 3 weeks, and the people around me are very forgiving and allow me to, do this work and do the other work.
Mitch Albom's got a brand new novel out. It's already going to be a movie. Netflix has bought it and wrote the script. It's called Twice. You got to pick it up, and I know you will. Mitch, congratulations on all this.
Brian, it's great to see you, man. Thank you.